you're probably wondering why the father and the mother didn't speak out to assert his innocence. That would make sense, right? Why don't you come right out and dispute everything immediately? Well, interestingly enough, I'm told that it's because the feds told them that if they spoke out, their lives could be at risk. Like they needed to keep things private, and they convinced the family to go into witness protection.
Breaking news. In the Charlie Kirk case, Tyler Robinson's mother has finally broken her month-long silence. Through a heartfelt letter, she has come forward to assert that her son is incapable of causing harm to anyone and deserves the right to speak for himself. She emphasizes that the media has misrepresented his character, leading to a swift public judgment without a full examination of the facts. This segment examines the initial period of public quiet from the Robinson family following the incident involving their son, Tyler. A primary question arises as to why the parents did not immediately come forward to assert their son's perspective. Analysis suggests that this decision was not made lightly. According to available information, federal officials advised the family that making public statements could potentially compromise their personal safety and the integrity of the ongoing legal process. This guidance led the family to adopt a position of extreme privacy, with some reports indicating they may have entered a form of protective custody. This chapter explores the weight of this strategic silence, set against a backdrop of intense media scrutiny and public speculation, and how this decision was interpreted by the wider community before any official statements were released. This chapter details the pivotal moment when the prolonged silence was broken by the most unexpected of voices, that of Tyler Robinson's mother. After months of observing the legal proceedings and media narrative from a distance, she chose to communicate through a formal, legally vetted channel. The method was a carefully written letter, disseminated by the family's attorney and authenticated by several news outlets. The content of this letter carried significant emotional gravity, representing the family's first public communication since the event in Orem. Within it, she expressed her profound and unwavering belief in her son's fundamental character, not to offer a legal defense, but to make a heartfelt appeal for his right to be heard within the proper judicial framework, marking a definitive turning point in the public narrative of the case. To provide context, this chapter offers a detailed portrait of the Robinson family's life prior to the incident. They were residents of a calm neighborhood in Salt Lake City, living in a modest, well-kept home. Described by those who knew them as a private, middle-class family, they were known to value routine, community, and their personal faith. Their son, Tyler, is recalled by neighbors and educators as a polite and reserved individual who demonstrated academic promise, particularly in the field of computer science. He was often described as a quiet young man who kept to himself, was diligent in his studies, and spent a considerable amount of time engaged with technology, painting a picture of a seemingly ordinary family whose life was far from the public spotlight. In the months leading up to the event, this chapter notes a discernible shift in Tyler Robinson's demeanor and habits, as observed by those close to him. Friends and acquaintances reported that he became increasingly withdrawn, distancing himself from social groups and becoming less responsive in his communications. His parents observed longer hours spent in isolation, often absorbed in his online activities. He developed a deep engagement with various internet forums and digital discussions, often centered around political and societal issues, which appeared to contribute to a growing sense of frustration and disillusionment. This period of change is presented as a key area of examination for understanding the mindset of the individual at the center of this case. The segment outlines the profound and immediate impact of the arrest on the Robinson family's daily existence. Their previously quiet community dynamic shifted dramatically. Neighbors distanced themselves, and the family home became a focal point for media presence. On the formal advice of their legal counsel, the family entered a state of public silence, fearing that any statement could be misconstrued or used against their son in the court of public opinion. They were placed in the difficult position of watching their son's identity be defined by news broadcasts and online commentary, all while navigating their own private turmoil and adhering to a strategy of silence for the sake of the legal process. A focused examination on the mother's presence throughout the legal hearings, this chapter describes her quiet but steadfast vigil. She attended every court proceeding, consistently choosing a seat away from the main focus of the cameras and media, often positioned in the back of the courtroom. She never engaged with the press, maintaining a composed and silent demeanor as she entered and exited the premises under escort. This silence is analyzed not as an absence of emotion, but as a deliberate form of endurance. Her unwavering attendance and silent observation are portrayed as a mother's attempt to provide a constant, stabilizing presence for her son during the most challenging period of their lives. This chapter provides a neutral breakdown of the formal allegations and evidence as presented by the prosecution in the legal system. It outlines the serious nature of the charges faced by Tyler Robinson. The prosecution's argument, as filed in court documents, is that the individual's actions during a public gathering at Utah Valley University were premeditated and intentional. The evidence cited includes analysis of an item recovered near the scene, with DNA profiles reportedly matching Tyler's. The prosecution also references digital communications from his personal device that allegedly discussed a significant opportunity, alongside surveillance footage that they argue places his vehicle near the location hours before the event, forming the core of their legal argument. Presenting the other side of the judicial process, this chapter outlines the key arguments put forward by the defense team. Their position challenges the strength of the evidence, characterizing it as largely circumstantial. They suggest that DNA material can be transferred indirectly and that digital messages can be misinterpreted without their full context. The defense also emphasizes that the surveillance footage only confirms presence in the area, not direct involvement. Furthermore, they have raised procedural questions regarding the handling and chain of custody of digital evidence collected from the individual's devices. Additionally, the defense has introduced considerations regarding their client's psychological state at the time, requesting independent evaluations to assess his overall well-being and capacity. This chapter explores the extensive and varied public response to the mother's decision to break her silence. The release of her letter triggered immediate and polarized reactions across the nation and on digital platforms. Some segments of the public viewed her words as a powerful and authentic expression of a parent's love and loyalty, a necessary plea for fairness in the face of overwhelming judgment. Others perceived her statement as a refusal to acknowledge the gravity of the situation, a perspective that they felt disregarded the profound loss experienced by other individuals involved. This chapter documents how the case became a mirror for broader societal divisions, extending far beyond the specifics of the legal proceedings. The final chapter reflects on the broader, more profound questions raised by the entire situation. The narrative has evolved from a specific legal case into a larger discussion about the nature of truth and empathy in the modern era.
Tyler James Robinson.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Robinson. I'm Judge Graff.
Sign that. Thank you.
It questions how public perception is formed in an age of rapid information and heightened social polarization, where narratives can be established before all facts are judicially verified. The segment emphasizes the human element at the core of the story, the enduring impact on two families, each grappling with an unimaginable outcome from the same series of events. It concludes by contemplating the meaning of a process that thoroughly examines all aspects, seeking an outcome that acknowledges the complexity of human circumstances.